we'll try this again. I'm gonna turn on my side screen just to make sure that I can hear it. Um, Despite everybody thinking it was a loose wire, there is no wires. That was a whole YouTube thing. I don't have any wires that are plugged in. Um, but sometimes it happens. There's no way for me to know exactly why it happens, but it happens. Um, yeah, we'll see how it goes. I gotta wait for this to show it on my screen so that I can hear exactly what it sounds like. But I know it's gonna work now. I know it's gonna work. Yeah, it works. So let me turn this volume off, and then I'm gonna just start over like I did before. So, good evening, everybody. As we get into the mid part of the week here, in a not a thinly traded week, but a shorter trading week, as on Monday we had Labor Day, so we only have a 4-day trading week. So as we get into about 2 hours and 15 minutes until the daily close, and getting into the back part of this week now, we want to look to see what XRP needs to do. But with the rate cuts coming, and I believe the 2-day FOMC meeting is September 16th to September 17th, with at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we're going to know what the rate cut is, which it's been in my own opinion, or at least my own feelings, that the rate cut wouldn't come until September's, FOMC meeting. So I think we're going to get that rate cut here in September. And the closer we get, the more opportunity there is. Now, the big question is, obviously, with XRP, I think we're going over $5 regardless. No matter what happens here in the micro, I think in time here, we're going over $5, and not because of any new news, not because of anything that's more recent, just because that cup and handle that was forming on XRP and now it's actually formed. We theorized that 549 to 669 or 639, but that's because before the cup and handle was ever built, we theorized what would happen, and that's the target that I'm still sticking with in this market rally, and it still makes a lot of sense. Now, understanding that the rate cuts do come at the middle of this month, because I do think it's going to be a rate cut. Trump has said, and I think the federal funds rate right now is it's either 4.15 or 4.25%. So I'm glad it sounds good, because I did absolutely nothing different except restart it. That's what sucks, because I don't deal with wires. The way my stuff is set up, I don't have wires. I just use my tablet speakers, and it's the good old quality that we get. But anyhow, I believe the federal funds rate, it's either 4.15 or 4.25, but Trump has said that he wants to get it down to 1.5%, which means you're talking about taking off a good 2.7% off of it. That's 270 basis points. So if they take 270 basis points off, yeah, risk assets are definitely going to have a moment, but after that moment, it scares me. So I think we need to take advantage, as I've been saying, until Trump is out of office in 2028, when that big calamity happens, when regulation meets, all of these overhyped, overinvested, overleveraged companies / countries that are in the biggest Ponzi scheme known to man, which is Bitcoin. And all these companies are going to be overleveraged. The first sign of trouble, all these companies that are taking loans out from the banks, trying to stay ahead percentage-wise, even if they're making their payments, the bank is going to be in distress, and they're going to blame crypto, and they're going to call the loans of every single person who has a loan taken out, for a Bitcoin purpose or a crypto purpose, a crypto venture. Like, that's what happened with it's going to happen. For everybody who hates Dave Ramsey, if there's one thing you can learn from him, because I actually like him. Yeah, he's done some things, but everybody does some things. But he does it for free, and he atoned for whatever his... But anyhow, he went broke when he was like 28, 27. He was a multimillionaire. He thought he was the smartest guy in the room because he would have a house, and then he would borrow against it, get another house, borrow against it, get another house. And he's doing fine. He's making his payments on time. But once the late 90s happened, And it was either late 80s, late 90s. My numbers are merged because I'm thinking of two different topics. But anyhow, when it happened to him in the late 1900s, let's say, yeah, the late 1900s, um, they ended up calling his loan, even though he was current, but there was distress in the market, and they equated it to, that they had too much leverage given out on housing. So their distress was actually giving out mortgages. So everybody who had mortgages, especially overextended like that, they called the loans. And those people like that. And it's not just a single family house where you're going to have your own house. It's people that were leveraging against this house to get more collateral for that house. And that's what they would do. And then once there's distress. So I don't know what's going to happen once all ends meet. But I do know before that happens, we're going to, and I'm not a financial advisor, and this is for entertainment purposes only. But I know in my heart, seeing what we're seeing, if as long as we just stay the course, and because we've been doing this for so long, we've already made a decent amount. If we just follow through to the end and actually play it through alt season, assuming that we don't go into a crypto winter, which we'll know if certain things happen. But if this plays out like normal, by mid-November, we should be cooking. We should be cooking. So, and everybody, oh, mid-November, that's only 2 months. Believe it or not, that's only 2 months. It's scary when you think about it. It's like 2 months. So, but with rate cuts, it definitely throws a wrench, guys. Throws a wrench in it. And like I've said since 21, by 28, it's either 28 to 32. Unfortunately, it's going to end up being the ladder of 28. Is when we're going to have to, I'm not saying you can't trade crypto anymore, but with the crypto regulations that come, it's going to make it tricky. So, we're going to make the most of it over the next 3 years or so now, and we're going to bank. And we're also going to use the mining stocks and the gold and silver bullion so that we can have a store of value. And we're going to use crypto to increase our value. And we're going to be smart. We're going to put some of that into precious metals. And we're going to move some of that into miners when it's in that kind of environment. So we're going to be smart. We're also going to invest in remember everybody, I'm not a financial advisor, but you're also going to be investing in your traditional IRA or your Roth, whatever, but your traditional self-directed IRA, $7,000 a year if you live in the USA, no excuses. I started it when I was 40, so I figure 25 years, I'd be 65. And doing $7,000 a year, putting in the emerging markets, expecting at least 10%, but it's compounding every year. But on average, the annual return over a year would be 10%. Put in the mutual funds of emerging markets is what I like. Personally, I like Vanguard and Fidelity, looking at different ones there, proven history, yada, 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 so on and so forth, lower managing cost, blah, blah, blah. But you do that, you get to write that off, against your income now. And there's just so many things we're trying to do here that doesn't meet the eye. But when it comes to crypto and it comes to the direction we're at right now, what we have to focus on is this rate cuts coming and the furthering of adoption that's starting to happen within the USA. So, good evening. 5:51 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on this Wednesday, September 3rd, 2025. I'm XRP Future Millionaire, and I reside in the great state of Michigan. I should probably talk a little lower because my son had his first full day of school today in elementary. As some of you know, some of you might not. He's special needs. So that makes it difficult in itself. But he progressed. He did better than most would have thought in his school. So he ended up in the regular kindergarten and he ended up, it's one of the only, I don't know, it's just a weird thing. But he also has a feeding tube in his stomach. So there's interesting things. So he got fed today at school for the first time, but he did it. Got home and he passed out about 5 o'clock, which we're not surprised, but he did it. So everybody who's rooting for T, who knows the story, he made it through school. And he seemed fine. Like, he did good, but he was tired and he fell asleep. So, yeah. So it's been a anxiety-filled day, not knowing what was going to happen at school, because nobody's ever fed him but us and my grandma. But anyhow, I was just trying to type in to see if there was any other things that I hadn't seen. So, as we get into this, XRP, I'm going to make it very simple for everybody who's new. for anybody who's not, please hit that like button. I would greatly appreciate if you hit that like button. Hitting that like button, commenting, and just sharing this content will help us just expand our radar as we cross the 46,500 subscriber mark, which is nice to see because I was stuck at 45,500 for about, I felt like fucking 2 months. And then thankfully, got a little bit of love here the last couple of weeks, like 1,000 subscribers in the last few weeks, which is nice to see. It happens in bursts, but I'm definitely happy to see that. Definitely happy to see that. As we close in on a big milestone of 50,000, if we get to 100,000, I'll be able to display a plaque behind my head. YouTube actually, if you get to 6-figure subscribers, they send you a plaque. Or it's like a, I don't know, a plaque, a circle thing. I don't know what the fuck it is. But that's the first level where they consider you that you've made it. You've made it if you hit 100,000. So we're 46.5% of the way there. So by the time I'm 50, we might have that behind me. Let's see. Gotta let them get out. Absolutely. No, it's true. My son he's definitely doing a lot better with it. And the school's been very helpful because he needs food therapy, but we're going to, they want to let him go through for a few weeks or a month or two until Christmas time or after. But the school said they would let him get out like 20, 30 minutes early so that he can get the therapy by 3. So they work with him a lot. Part of the reason I like Clawson a lot. It's why I stayed out here. Or why I moved out here to begin with. Because I never lived over here. I lived about 45 minutes the opposite way for most of my life. I didn't even know what Clawson was until I met Julie. Didn't even know it existed. So with XRP, we're at $2.84 right now. And the cool thing is with Kraken too, and eventually I'll share a link, just not today. I want you guys to ponder it. Not only do they have XDC, but they also have like Dent, which is big for my own agenda. Some people don't agree with it, but I think it's more than just a siphoning scheme. I do. I think there's something there with that. That chart, it slaps you in the face. Just, hey, please pay attention to me. It really does. Now I don't know if it comes down and retests this uptrend, but that just looks like one that's begging. And then if you pull it out like this, weekly, the only problem is, like with the rest of them, it looks a little overbought in the weekly, but when you start to look at it a little bit deeper, the monthly is bouncing off of the mid-tier support where we could get a very volatile spike here soon. Like soon. MACD moving average convergence divergence is moving back into a nice bullish push. Stochastic is very oversold in the daily. Like extremely oversold. Ridiculously oversold in the daily. And it's cheap as hell. Like it really is. But that chart is interesting. Interesting. So, but I always start out, it's funny with my son's school, when we have like we had a medical meeting yesterday for his feeding tube, and I always start out by saying all the stuff he's been through because I want them to feel it, like the heartstrings being pulled. And I always tell them all the betrayal he's had by like doctors and stuff, and the way that they almost killed him, and misdiagnoses, and just how he's been basically mistreated every step of the way. But we always found the right answer by going to the right place and not taking the shit. Because, I'm not the right person to fuck with, so I definitely rained hell on all these people and got my... But anyhow, I always start out by telling them the journey and just saying, like, I'm like this because he's been through a lot, and I'm trying to give him the best chance, and yada, and I always do the spew. And they've always basically, all the women always have tears basically coming out their eyes, and it's a good thing because you can see the compassion. And I don't say any men because there are no men. Like, in the special needs in the school, there are no men. I'm yet to see a guy in there, like with T. He hasn't had a man teacher, he hasn't had a man helper, he hasn't had a man like the parapro, the special training. So it's all women. So thank God for women, and the fact that they take a liking to my son because they think he's 1 in a million, which is an honor because one of the teachers from his preschool was there 15 years, and she decided to move on with him, that's pretty special. And she's the one who's doing his feeding, so I don't know how we would have done it if she would have moved on, because he trusts her. Plus, she kind of looks like grandma. My mom. But anyhow, so we're looking at this for XRP, and honestly, like where we're at in the daily, we were in a good spot for a rotational reversal right here. We were sitting on support, and it's like we can look at it both ways. I don't mind looking at it like this either, where we tighten it up. It's actually, oh yeah, it is, because we did it from the 4-hour. I forgot. So if you're new, this is from the 4-hour perspective. Getting the support back here, support. So here, I'll show you. It's easier for me to show you. So this would be from support, 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 you know, so it even hit it like right here. So, and then the theory is if you bounce over this, then you have that catapult up, and it's going to put you up 330, but ultimately up towards that 380 range, which would put us into all-time highs. And it really wouldn't matter what chart you're looking at. If this were to happen, it wouldn't matter. You know, it doesn't matter what chart it is. But I want to go back to this other chart real quick as well. Oops. But this is where we've got $2.77 here. Let me take off the stochastic and the rest of it. So we're in such a tough spot because we have this death cross we're trying to reverse in the 4-hourly. As you see it, we very quickly got way overbought in the 4-hourly with the stochastic, but in the daily, it tells a whole different story. So it almost looks like we're getting ready to rev up here a little bit and rev up as we get closer to this rate cut. So it could be as simple as we're going to come back up and get rejected at 298, you know, or that 289 to 293 zone. But I think 298, unless it takes a second, because then you can be like, oh, well, see, it would have got stuck near that zone, right? If it just took like a day or two. So let's say it brings us down into September 9th, next Tuesday, then it's 291. See, so it's, or 292 here at September 8th. Or over the weekend, you can be like, hey, we're within that. So it just depends where it hits. But we need to see if we finish an ABC correction down, as some have pointed out. You know, or if we get some weird reversal here. But I guess we should, I guess I should go back and say hi to some, because there's been a lot of comments, and I definitely like to say hi to everybody. Rub some people the wrong way, but that's okay. That makes me who I am. Mike B, welcome in, and thanks for tuning in to me and Tom Zombie for your first month with the emoji badge of me being abducted by aliens. Along with Miss G. Stott. Yes, take 3 indeed. Lord have mercy. But we're here. We made it, and we don't let it stress us out, right? Thank you both, Rena and Tom Zombie, for your first month with the emoji badge of me being abducted by aliens. Dan Marginal, welcome in, and thanks for being in your second month with the Dusty's Outhouse Crypto News, along with G. Stott. Ooh, Mr. Stott is second month with the Dusty's Outhouse Crypto News. Look at that. How awesome is that? Moving on. Mike B, welcome in, and thanks for being in Tom Zombie for the first month with the emoji badge of me being abducted by aliens. Mike B and Bob Burtner, along with Mosey here, thank you all three of you, the trifecta, for being in Tom's Army for over 1 year with the I Told You So badge. What a beautiful audience we have here. Frisky Auto, welcome in. What's going on, buddy? How are we doing today? Oh, excellent. Excellent. Today's a good day. I'm going to start just looking at the day on hand. Not next week, not next month, not next year, not 2 months from now, not 10 years from now. Just today. And today's a good day. Which means we have the starting for a good day tomorrow, because today was a good day. So if we can try to sprout those roots and keep it going, tomorrow will be a great day as well. Arichi Farms, welcome in, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 6 months with the XB Predictor, along with Ben B. And also Crypto Cooter, a very trusted mod in here and in the Telegram. I appreciate all of you. Special thank you to Crypto Cooter for keeping it real and helping out. Orelli, welcome in. Set Apart Spirit, good evening. Jason Whipple, welcome in, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 3 months with the XRP Meteor. Love it. McMichael, Frankie Fresh, thank you both for being in Tom's Army for over 6 months with the XP Predictor. And Frankie Fresh, please give Janine my love and tell her I'm so blessed to have her watching too in the audience. Makes me so happy to know. AUW, good evening. What do you think of the Gemini IPO? Honestly, very interesting. Remember what happened with like the Robinhood IPO and the Coinbase ones, and I think Coinbase was one of the other ones. But once they had their initial correction, they went para-fucking-bolic. So it's interesting because Gemini technically offers service, I believe, still in the USA. Definitely something interesting. Brian Crow, welcome in and thanks for being in Tom's Army for your first month with the emoji badge at me being abducted by aliens. What do you mean gold's at 3,619? There's no fucking way. I was gonna say. You almost made me fall off my chair. Yeah, it got to 3,578 so far in the USA. Still, I mean, it's still at an incredible price right now. Just ripping it. And then silver's up over $41. Like, Jesus Louise. And the silver miners and gold miners, the people did what they usually do. They take and pull back. Some of them got above by the end of the day, but it's amazing that anybody would take money in this environment. Ooh, buddy. Man, I was talking to old Vincenzo today because we're looking at our stuff, and I'm like, old Vincenzo, when's the last time you looked at a percentage gain, or not just a percentage gain, but you looked at how much you're up in a asset class, which for me, I'm talking about the miners. Because in my mining sector, I built my own ETF, and I'm not a financial advisor, so do your own due diligence. In my ETF, and this is just mine, it's not available to buy, this is just what I own. Instead of buying somebody else's thing, I based a lot of it on what Peter Schiff and Mike Maloney, what they were thinking and things like that. But I have Barrett Gold, which is Barrett Mining now, but B2 Gold, Pan America Silver, First Majestic, Fortuna Mining Corp, Hecla Mining Company, Silver Corp Metals, and like Silver Core, and all. I mean, you're talking minimum of $8,000 in each of these. I think it is over time. And I was talking to old Vincenzo. I'm like, when was the last time you had like a class of things that you didn't even think about selling that's up like $25,000-$30,000? And he's just like, I mean, until this happened, he's like, I would have thought I would have been selling it, at the first. And it's true though, because if I had that money sitting in the bank, it's like it would be devalued. But because I understood the sector and the rotation, which isn't even over by any stretch of the imagination, this could turn into like, I don't know. I don't even know. I don't even act like that's the thing. Like the crypto funds, I act like I don't have that money in real life. The same thing with the miners. Same thing with anything the only money that I have in real life is the couple $1,000s in my bank because I never go over like $3,000 or $4,000 because I don't trust the bank. And then whatever cash I have, that is the only, even the cash I don't even act like I have. But I spend it, but I don't consider it like, hey, here's some money. But that's how I live. Like, so it doesn't matter how much I have in crypto. It doesn't matter how much I have in mining stocks. When I'm living, if I see my bank account, I'm like, oh, I got $3,000. And then I'm broke. Which it couldn't be farther from the truth, but that's my mindset. So it's like I still live, and I have nice stuff, but I don't do a lot of things. Like I try to focus on this because I'm living like nobody else now, so I can live like nobody else later. I love when Dave Ramsey says it's similar to that or close to that. But my grandpa, when I was growing up, a hardcore Italian, used to be in the Italian militia. He had to come over here on the boat over a series of like 15 years, getting his whole family over here because when the Nazis went over there, Mussolini kind of handed him over, and then they hung him, obviously. You know how it goes from his own statue. My grandpa was actually one of the people there. But he came over from Italy, and he used to tell me when I was a kid. He died in 2001, unfortunately. But he used to tell me as a kid, because he used to work hard. He'd be like, I work hard now, so I don't have to work hard later. Like, I work hard when I'm young, so I don't have to work hard when I'm, like, when he's old. You work when you're a young man, so you don't have to work when you're old man. And he used to always try to emphasize that. Never really understood it until I got a little bit older, but now I get it. It's like I'm 41 years old right now, staring down the barrel of 42, December 17. And I can see what he means. I've got legitimately 25 good years of real hardcore work, and had I have just started now, I still have a chance. But fortunately, I got the message when I was about in my mid-30s. And I'd say 7 years ago is when it all turned for the better. Like going from that and understanding what I needed to do and actually making it happen. So, but I hear all these lessons, and it's like I've gotten nothing but good advice. Well, I've gotten horrible advice from some people, but I know how to separate it. So it's like, My biggest problem is trying to separate emotion. And I noticed it again, like watching my lives like for a few days. I'm like, I don't like that person. You might be right, and you might have every right to yell at somebody who's being a dick. But what kind of atmosphere are you trying to promote here? Like I'm watching myself saying, what are you proving here? So what? So you throw a few clever, you know, a little bit clever material around because it does make sense because it's true. But at the same time, what is it actually proving? Nothing. If I was the bigger man, I would have just not said anything. So that's what I strive to be. So, I don't know. I just wanted to say that. I don't know why it came out now, but I wanted to say that. I needed to get that off my chest. So that is an apology for me because I would like to say that won't happen again, but we all know it will. It's just a matter of how quickly we can catch ourselves and admit to it. So I have faults. There's no doubt about it. Anyhow, let's continue. Let's see. John Patak, welcome in and thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 2 years with the XRP 589 Moon Badge. Let's see. Sola Jeffy, welcome in. Rocky R.A., Zoli, Cats and Cod, welcome in. Interesting. DGB does have life left. It just fell below a very critical level at 8.8, and that's when I was just kind of warning everybody that you got to be careful. But it still hasn't broke down, so still got this inverse head and shoulders set up. I don't think it's dead by any stretch of the imagination, if I'm being honest. Even if it fell to 7.2, like, that's not as bad as it looks. It's bad, but it's not as bad as it looks. I think there's a lot of life there. I do believe there's a lot of life left there. I actually forgot to look at something. Let's see. Okay. But yeah, I think there's life left there. I do. Let's see. Who did I miss? David Heathcock, welcome in. Thank you for being here as well, my friend. He's speaking about his rooster, folks. Let's see. Zoli, welcome in. G. Wilkers, good evening. Goodness gracious, Thomas, you sure do know how to get a brother all hot and bothered, looking handsome today. Hey, you're not the first person who's told me that. In fact, I had a comment on YouTube. A girl put down, they sent her picture. She was a good-looking lady, and she said, "You're such a handsome man. I think it's time that you man's groom." Like she's like you. It was funny. I was reading in the comment because I just mentioned to Julie a couple days ago. I'm like, should I shave my goatee or trim it down? And I'm like, no. And she likes it. And then the girl, it's almost as if the gods were speaking through her, like, hey, you need to like do some escaping. Yeah. So, but I'm like, no, I like it. Something's got to cut off the handsomeness, right? So I'm just going to let my hair grow out like I'm a wizard. I say I'm not a wizard, but my hair would suggest, like, I have not cut my hair now since July of 2023. Legitimately about to be 2.5 years. It's craziness. Tony Carter, welcome in. Hashtag M2C, mother second choice. He's out there in the outback somewhere with that XRP Diamond Hands badge for over 3 years in Tom's Army. Hopefully you're staying safe out there, my friend. Very famous man. Some of the best music I've ever heard. It's incredible. So very good. Big part of this show, actually, if you were a fan early on, too. Bearded Viking, welcome in, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 2 months with the XRP Predictor. I mean, not the XRP Predictor. How dare we insult our community. With the Dusty's Outhouse Crypto News. Pah! Not at you, Bearded Viking, but at the Dusty's Outhouse Crypto News. If you don't know the story, you should. But I'm not going to tell it again. Let's see. Tony Carter, Mr. Carter. Honestly, I crave the day when I get to sit around the fire with you and give you a salute and actually shoot the shit. I think in a different life we could have been very good friends, in person. But it makes it hard. He lives in the outback. I live in the USA, the shithole over here. While he's getting chased by fucking kangaroos and stuff, I'm getting chased by vultures and fucking rats and stuff. Anyhow, let's continue back on. Shane, welcome in and thanks for being in Tom's on for 3+ months with the XRP. With the Dust House crypto news. Oh no, you're good, Shane. You didn't miss much. I would probably go back to the beginning. Israel, welcome in. Jeff Smith, good evening. Who the heck is the old Vincenzo? It's Vincenzo. That's my brother. Let's see. Come on, everyone, hit that like button for all the hard work. Hey, I appreciate that. Yeah, don't disappoint Dennis. Hit that like button. If not for me, for Dennis. God knows it's a pain in the ass to type on YouTube, so God bless him for taking the time. Crypto Cooter says, Tom, I get it for sure. I am 34, I've been busting my ass for 20 years. By 40, I absolutely do not plan on working for the man any longer if I played it true. Fair enough. I mean, I don't, like, for me, I mean, technically, I don't work for the man anymore because with YouTube, I still have to pay the man, but I'm still at home. Well, like, yeah, that's ideally, yes. But just remember, you want to make sure you have a way of having an income. So it's going to come down to, can we get the right mutual funds? Can we put it in the right gold and silver with precious metals? Can you find the miners? Can you play crypto properly? Can you play the emerging markets? You know, can you play the contrarian bet? Like when everybody's betting on U.S. stock, are you going to have the wisdom to bet on the emerging markets? You know, the ones across the seas, the ones that are actually serious players. You know, and are you willing to play the long game with certain things? Are you willing to play the short game with other things? Are you willing to have a store of value? Are you willing to have cash? Because I believe all ends are going to meet here shortly, probably in the year 28. So at some point, everything's going to implode and it's going to be based around crypto. Mark my words. They're going to use Bitcoin to bring in the digital era of a cashless society. And it's not going to be in the way you think, everybody. It's not going to be because all these things are at $50,000 a piece. You know, it's not because everything went up 8 billion%. Oh, we're going to do very well going into. I'm telling you right now, and I've said it since 21, just stay the freaking course. Sometimes you're all in, sometimes you're all out. But you wait for the cycles. You don't have to sit in for 7 years. That's nonsense. You can sit in for a couple years, the cycle ends, and you sit out for a couple more until you get the right spot. That's what we did twice. Hit the top, sold out on the right shoulder, bought the bottom before, sold out, you know, the right shoulder, bought back on the very bottom of this last rally in 23, and then again in 24, and now we were coattailing. And now we're trying to reinsert ourselves in other areas if it's warranted, but it takes time. This red, you smell that? Oh, I smell it. It's not fear. They trick you. It's not fear. Nope, that's not even manipulation. That's not manipulation or fear. You know what that is? Inexperienced traders. So one thing we need to remember, when we cry out manipulation, we're playing the victim. Oh, I would have made all this money, but these greasy son of a bitches are manipulating this market. That is a form of crying the victim. We are not victims. I had to understand that watching myself back, be like, manipulation? Well, I wasn't very manipulated because if I would have just looked at the chart the right way, the manipulation's held within. Now, you don't know how fast the volatility will go. So I'm trying to change the vocabulary in my own head and to the audience. Like, manipulation is just another form of being a victim. And we are not victims. We are the winners here. And being the winner, you've got to present yourself in a certain way. When you're a winner, you don't worry about what victims do. When you're rich, you don't worry about what broke people do. When you are trying to become rich, you don't ask a fellow broke person. If you want to become broke, well, you can ask your fellow broke person, which is usually a family member trying to push you off track and yada, 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 so on and so forth. Because if I listened to everybody in my life, I wouldn't be doing this in front of you right now. That's the bottom line. My own dad was like, this can never work. You have to go work a 9 to 5. And now he's like, oh my God, you know what you're doing. Yes, Dad, but you still go to a financial advisor. I could tell you to buy Facebook, Apple, Amazon, Google, Netflix, Alphabet. Let's see. Trading with J-Ride, welcome in. Not only for being in Tom's for over 3 months with the XRP Diamond Hands badge, getting very close to the 4-year XRP Phoenix badge, but also a $10 donation. How awesome is that? Tom, do you think gold will have a big retrace? Well, what I think will start happening is what we've seen at 34.50 or whatever. Went from $34.50, dropped about $400 to getting close to $3,000. Then within 2 weeks, it ate it back up, and here we are at a new high. With the pending rate cuts guaranteed, with quantitative easing guaranteed. Now, gold could have a series where it consolidates or it pulls back, but not yet. We're not to the final bell yet. Now, when we get to 4,115, or God forbid we break past here, because gold is going to get held up for a minute. Remember, silver usually waits about 75% of the move for gold to start making its move. So the last 25% of the rally, and you could say right now could start the last 25% of the initial rally, but look how far it's already gone. You're talking this could get you to 5, 6, 7. We don't know. But silver's going to have this unprecedented rally. So as much as I love gold miners, there's a reason why I have B2 gold and Barrick gold the way I do, and then the rest are silver miners. There's a reason I'm so heavily weighted. Now, I didn't just pick out of a dumpster or pick out of a hat and say I'm going to throw all these miners in and hope for the best. No. I earned my lumps over the years. I invested in 2 junior miners. One was Almeida Minerals or whatever it is, and the other one was Great Panther Mining, GPL. And I'll never forget, because me and my brother liked the other one better, and we're like, oh, this other company's been around 100 and something years, and it's a safe bet, and you're supposed to diversify even more in the junior miners just in case something goes wrong. So we should have had 50-50, but we put it all in the one, even though we liked the other one better, and we ended up selling it after a move. Worst mistake ever. The other one went up 900% from where we bought it, and the other one went under because they had mining problems and they didn't have enough cash on hand. So even though everything was going great, they had 100 and something year history, they didn't have enough cash on hand, and it was one bad thing after another for a series of about 12 to 16 months. They went under. Now those shares are worth like 2 cents on the dollar. Well, the other one's up 900 fucking percent. And you can look it up. We were dealing with that at 40 something cents, and now it's almost at $5 fucking. So I've earned my lumps when it comes to the metals markets. I understand the rotation, and I also understand the books. Like, I understand if they're making there's a reason why I know so much now. There's no better learning experience than when you lose your hard-earned money because you're a freaking moron and you're greedy. Greedy comes in all forms: leverage, spot. Hey, let me buy this smaller miner because it's got bigger. That one lost 99%. If you would have just stayed the fucking course and just kept your Almeida Minerals, it's up 960% right now from where we bought. And these weren't sellers. We weren't going to sell it. Like, we still have the other piece of shit that'll never come off our record. You know, because it's never technically going to go away. It's by some miracle, it comes back in 61 years. Maybe my son can have it. But fortunately, I only had like $1,200 in it, but old Vincenzo had like 3. But I mean, he's made way more than he lost. But still, we have that going back to 2019 or whatever it was that we still remember. So, and that's my brother, FYI. But I think there'll be a retrace at some point. But I think when that retrace happens, silver's going to... They're all going to retrace. They always do, but... in this environment, like, seeing silver at 41 is spooky. Like, it is so spooky. Because this next push up gets you to about $56 fucking. Like, or 55, 64. Like, I'm already looking at my mining portfolio, and I'm like, and between the miners and crypto, like, I'm sitting here going, I don't know what to do. Like, I don't want it to go up yet. I live a certain lifestyle, and it's like, I'm never going to sell my house. I'm not going to live above my means, but I already feel blessed as it is. And, like, I know some of you are in this experience that have been here since 21. Like, we started with $3,000 to $5,000. At least I did. And now I'm sitting here going, I got 80,000 in miners because it's up so much. I've got 50 or 60 and 70. It's like, and then you talk about everything else, and it's like, I don't know what's going on. Like, I do know what's going on, and I knew this was going to happen, and that's why I did this for historical data. But as it's happening in real time, I don't know what to do now. I live a very modest life. And that's all I want. I like the feeling of being up against it and, all this stuff. So I think that's why I like not just that I don't trust the banks, but I think I like looking at a bank account and instead of seeing 100,000, I like seeing a couple thousand and oh shit, I gotta make some money. Then you look elsewhere and it's like, oh, those miners don't exist. I'll look at it and be like, that's on a piece of paper. That money doesn't even count. Or I'll look at crypto and be like, that's just on an exchange. That doesn't even count. What if they take it away tomorrow? That's how I tell myself. So I'm like, you're broke. You need to get to work. So people are like, are you going to come here every single day for a millionaire? I don't even know I'm a millionaire. I'm going to look at my $3,000 in the bank and say, oh my God, I'm never making shit. Never goes up. The moment I have 5, I'm like, all right, 2,000 more into the miners, or you're putting more into here. I haven't had to buy gold and silver since the year 23. 24, don't think I ever bought any. Once gold got over 2,000 and silver was back over 22, I never bought more. So I just kind of let it cook. But I did that for a series of years. And then me and my brother were talking and we figured out like, all right, well the miners, because we don't sell the gold and silver, that goes on generation to generation if everything goes right. That's how you build a family of wealth. We might not have had it, but now because of our endless sacrifice and for the better of our, our family tree, they're going to have it a lot easier. It's just like the Kennedys. They didn't give back the gold when they deemed it illegal and you had to give it back, which was all bullshit. But they didn't give it back and they became wealthy and they became one of the famous families. That's what a lot of families did. They didn't give it back. They stored it and said, suck my balls. You come here I'll have my musket. Be over here loading up this son of a bitch. You try to come in here. But that's what happened. So we're going to have that same wealth transfer, but it's going to be in 2 ways. And we've got both of them covered. Think about it. In digital, you can only go 2 ways. There's going to have to be a physical backing somewhere. But what's going to happen with gold is they're going to put it onto a digital blockchain. Its own. They're already starting. You ever buy a bar of gold recently or silver and it's got a little thing on it that tracks it? Yeah, that was something different, wasn't it? Tried to stay away from those except for a couple of times when I didn't know. I believe that has to go into that categorization. Louisville, hey Tom, averaging 9 cents on CRO finally run up and I was able to take some profit. Yeah, I've got about the same average, somewhere around there, under 10 cents. I have like 30 something thousand. I didn't sell any, but I can't because I got to keep it for the CRO token or the crypto Visa debit card, the prepaid. And with the Ruby one, I can do up to 25,000 and take $1,000 a day out of the ATM, which is fucking awesome. So I take advantage of crypto.com for that, and then I like stake my Algo, I stake my Polygon, I stake my, what's the other one? Polygon. Oh yeah, Graph, GRT, the Graph. So, and I don't expect you to like everything I like. We're here for XRP, but we also have other things that we explore. The XRPH, as one of them, it's down 4%. They have an IPO coming soon. And I've been very transparent with this son of a bitch. Very transparent. Like, don't get yourself caught up in all this consolidation and all this other nonsense because it didn't break out. And then when you start looking at it, it's like, where is the honest to God level? Well, I mean, eventually I thought it would come down like the 2.8. I circled it, but it never did come down there. So we'll see if it comes. Because I thought it was going to see how this came down. I thought we'd fill out this, because I looked at this as an exhaustion, like if you look at it in the daily. So I'm like, I think at some point we're going to fill out this exhaustion wick, and maybe that's where we would bounce. If you start looking at this, we're heavily oversold in the daily. Fucking great to see. For transparency, so if somebody doesn't come back and be like, he's only saying this because he owns it. Yeah, I own 102,220 tokens. And they're not going anywhere, and they're like at 1.7 cents or some shit. No, about 2 point something, because I bought more when it was at like 3.8 or 4, I don't remember. But weekly's actually in the mid-tier level where we could get a breakout at any moment. Daily's so fucking oversold, we have to have a reversal at some point. The fact it's doing it almost like on a... Here, I want to look at this a little bit differently now. Because you can't look at it like this. It doesn't work. Because of the way the pattern's set up, I'm just showing you for a reason. You have to come down like this. You have to. As much as I would like to say it's all bullshit and you don't have to, you have to in this case. Just like this, we can't keep looking at it like that because, yes, I know if you look at it like this, it makes sense. Let me put this yellow. Sometimes we just got to get to the facts, you know. Yes, this can happen. Yes, that was consolidating. Yes, we had to break out of there. In fact, we did have to go through that level of, but we're not anymore. Like, we're not anymore. And now I just want to know what the hell is really going on. And this is what's really going on. It really is. And when I was watching some of my other lives, I'm like, you know what? Cut all that shit out of there because sometimes it's a little hard to see. You know, like you're saying it makes sense, but then we got to worry about this and that. Just get to the bottom line. I was talking, you know, so. But Louisville, thank you so much for being in Tom's number for over 3 years with Diamond Hands badge, and congratulations on that 9-cent average and taking some profit. That is so awesome. So awesome. One day, Tony, indeed. One day, Mr. Carter. Yes, Crypto Cooter, I love that. You said by 40, I'd like to be trading heavy while still doing... Well, here, can I change your lingo real quick? Don't trade heavy, invest. You want to be heavily investing. Trading just gives it a bad name. Because if you're trading, 95% of people lose money. So then you're never going to be able to do your own thing. You want to be an investor at the right time. How about that? If anybody's watching, we want to be investors at the right time. We don't give a rat's ass about trading. Because when we trade, we lose money. When we have the investor mindset, there's no way I could have invested 50 grand into miners over a period of time to be in the position I'm at if I was just like, I'm going to trade, do nothing, and not invest over time. It's taken a while. You know, and it's just been dedication, like in different areas, different things, different ones, different things, hourly opportunity. And now I look at it and I'm like, where the hell did all that come from? No wonder I'm so fucking broke. I got everything everywhere else. But that's a good feeling. Because then you're like, I ain't got no money. I got to go back to work. You never know how much you can do until you're up against it. Like, you never know what you can accomplish until you have no other choice. So that's why, as much as I hate to see my son go to school and not be home with me, I know if he can get himself through a very uncomfortable situation because he is special needs and he's got, you know, he's sensitive to noise and he's been through a lot of trauma and things. If he can get through a normal day with his peers and get through his therapies that he's been doing for a few years, and it's going to make him a better, you know, version of himself. And like, to me, you can only compare him against other kids who are special needs in the same capacity level. And it seems like everything we're doing and the way we take care of him, it's actually helping him excel to the best potential he can possibly have. So it's like the same for us. We have to do things that give us the best chance and potential to succeed. And what's going to give us the best potential is understanding, one, the technicals, and two, just being uniformly informed of when we have these FOMC meetings, what Trump's plans are, because even though he doesn't matter, like the president of the U.S. they're basically illiterate. You know, if they're there for a reason. But, and I like Trump for business, but anyhow, we need to know what the plan is for the country. And right now we know the USA wants to go to 1.5% for the federal funds rate. And right now it's at about 4.25 or maybe 4.15, which means we got to cut off about, it's incredible, 250 to 275 basis points in a rather short amount of time. This country needs to go the opposite way. Like, if I was in charge, the first act I would do, everybody would lynch me. So, Mr. President, or no, put me in charge of the FOMC. So we swear in XRP for your Thomas Spica. So what's your first, so we get to the FOMC meeting. Well, it appears to me that the data is very conclusive. I don't need to wait for any further data. This country is fucked. We got $37 trillion, another $1 trillion in interest every single, week, month, whatever it is now. We got no choice. I hate to do this, but we have to. We have a 2,000 basis point rate hike. And I'll be like, oh my God, this guy just bankrupted us. And then I'd be like, but listen, everybody, if you have built up a savings of any kind, if you're in a risk asset and you are sick of taking the risk, start trusting your bank again. We're going to give you a 20% interest rate. Take your money out of the risk asset. Take your money out of some of these risky, penny stocks. And I can guarantee you 20% year over year. You just keep working your ass off. This country's going to pay off its debt. And yes, when you buy a house, it's going to be 25% interest rates. When you buy a car, you might as well just have cash on hand because 25%. But we're going to right this country in the right direction, and we're going to get rid of this debt faster than you know. But we're all going to have to buckle up here. But if you work and you understand finance and you understand the economy, you're going to do very well. And knowing that that's coming, that's when you could probably sell out your gold and silver when you start hearing stuff like this, because that's going to take a hit. A lot of things are going to take a hit because people are going to need disposable cash because they're going to want to put it in to a savings account now. And that's what our grandparents did. That's the difference. Like my 100,000, if I have it, instead of having to trade it between miners and crypto and other things, I could have just left that in the bank and guaranteed myself 20 grand the first year. Then I got 120 grand that I get to put it in because it's compounding. Obviously, you have to pay taxes. But now you understand the picture. So let's say you made 20 grand and you got to pay some in taxes. Well, now maybe you have, 115, let's say, for the next year. Then you got 100. You see the picture. But we don't get that opportunity. We get, my whole life, the highest percentage in the savings was like 4% when I was an adult. Or 4.5%. So, we're trying to build ourselves into, it's like that with everything. We're trying to hedge ourselves against the impending doom of the US dollar. We only have so much time to do this. Eventually, there's no more, it could have been, should have been, would have been. It's over. It's over. And right now, if you understand and you've been playing the same route as me with gold and silver with physical, and the miners as a, way to play getting the gold and silver out of the ground at a cheaper expense as it goes on, you're doing very well. If you've been doing what our philosophy is with crypto, understanding the cycles and trying to play this out, you're doing very well. If you're trading either of them, you're doing very bad. Because I guarantee you're losing out because the swings are so damn volatile. It's not easy. It is not easy. Let me say it again. It's not easy when you're trying to swing in and out. Because the moment you swing out and you're sitting there going, oh my God, I'm on the sidelines, what happens? Any 3% move up, you're fucking shitting bricks and you're about to buy back. Then you probably won't. And then when you see a 20% move, you're buying back saying, Jesus Christ. And then all of a sudden it goes down 8%. You're saying, what the fuck? When everybody else is up 12% saying, oh, this was a nice healthy pullback. You're sitting there about to have a stroke. Don't have a stroke. And also don't go broke by it. Don't. No strokes and don't go broke. You are woke now. You've been in here for long enough. As one would say, even if you have to take a toke, get the spiritual medicinal stuff just to get you calm down. Sometimes you got to do it. I say stay away from the self-pleasure and gratification because, once that happens, last time I talked about this, my live shut off, but it'd be fine if it did today because it's already 52 minutes. But we want to keep that emotional stuff, we don't want to have artificial experiences. Wink, wink to some of you out there that I know are sitting there saying, is he talking to me? I am talking to you, man or woman. Let's see. What else? I think I pretty much covered everything. Honestly. I liked the way this went because I really wanted to talk a certain way, and I think we got back on track. Oh no, we're not raising rates, guys. There's 100% chance we do not raise rates. Absolutely living the dream. Like my grandpa, when he came over from Italy, it took him a number of years, but from what he was able to save in the bank and the interest he got, that's how he bought his house. People used to get their big down payment for their house or pay it outright based on the interest they were getting in the bank. That's how it's supposed to be. That's the American dream. Zoli says, Mr. Tom, I have a special kid. Autistic. He's been skateboarding for 15 years. Got arrested in New York just for... What a damn shame. That's a shame. And they probably don't even know how to, speak with him being autistic and special needs. That's a shame. That's my biggest fear. is that exact kind of, maybe not from skateboarding because of my son's leg injury from breaking his femur when he was 6 months old, but you get what I get what you get, what you're going through. I that's horrible. That's horrible. Mm-mm-mm. Crypto Crew said, yes, absolutely heavily invested in having capital from gains, the trade proper opportunities. Yes, sir. I'm not currently looking at MXC. I got the opportunity I wanted when we got it. I felt like it was just a liquidity buildup because I'm not convinced that MXC, even though I do like Moonchain, I'm not sure that it's not anything more than just a pump and dump game that they play over time. So I don't know. I do like that it's IoT, but it's a low level IoT. There's nothing really special about it. Um, Besides the fact that it does give advanced connective ability, but there's other ones that I can look at that are oracles and things that I would put more stock into. But there'll come a time again. There'll certainly come a time when I find it appropriate. It might even be now, but it's just not on my radar right now. So no. If I am answering the question honestly, no. Is that dyslexic for games? Who said this? I mean, that's true, Frankie. Yeah, no, Dan, I looked at it at the beginning of this live. It looks like it's getting ready for like a legitimate move here. It's got nice inverse head and shoulders. If this breaks out here, I mean, we're like, look how oversold we are in the daily. Like, that is like incredibly oversold. Like, when you look at XDC, it's already broke out of this. So, if you're looking at it, which one has more opportunity from where it's at? I mean, I'm hard-pressed not to say that dent sitting there. That is massively oversold. And yes, because I'm on Kraken, I do have exposure to dent again. So, and I like using the Kraken Pro because the fees, at least on the buy, are way lower. So I got some exposure to XDC and dent again. They have XYO on there if you're interested as well, and other things as well. But yeah. Band is at 76.7 cents. I mean, I don't think it's, well, actually, it might be getting close. It is significantly oversold substantially in the daily. Because it hasn't even invalidated the daily golden cross, which is the craziest part of this. But it's significantly oversold in the daily. Starting to come back, and what you want to see is it would hold right about 80 on the stochastic so that you can stay in that extremely bullish range in the overbought, but that keeps it extremely bullish. Nice cup and handle. The question is kind of trickle down to 72 or even 58. Volume was still increasing, which is good. Daily was shuffled down in the moving average convergence, so we were on top of that in the beginning. But I think it's got a big opportunity. Eventually, it's going to reverse here soon. And like if it breaks out of this cup and handle, I'm looking at about $1.72 if this actually plays up. Now, beyond that, I don't know. But I'm squarely looking at that $1.72 range. I mean, I know it can get a lot higher, but when and if it's going to get to the $4 and $5 range, I think it will. I think eventually it's going to be higher price than XRP personally. But at this point, I'm looking at that $1.72 range. So about $1 from here. So I'm going to look deeper into Kraken Crypto Cooter, I promise. But if you're using it, use Kraken Pro. Don't just use the regular version. It's a lot different. But anyhow, I got to go, everybody.